Okay, thank you for coming. Tony told me that it's actually a good crowd today, which I'm happy for because it's the first time I'm standing in front of a Slavic people to sort of trying, And I think also, I don't know if it was a good thing that we were missing this because it made more time to get more beer. So, I mean, all in all, I hope that's a better outcome for all of us. Great. Yes, so I will do a short introduction in a moment, but I think like this talk, my idea is more that it can also be a dialogue, so feel free to challenge me, make questions while I present, so we can sort of make this a good talk for everyone. So please feel free to interrupt. Great. So this is me. I'm Emma. I have a background in computer science. I studied at the IT University of Copenhagen, a very small university, where I, for some reason, thought that I would major in IT security and be a hacker. But I found that real jobs in IT security is just configuring firewalls. And I sort of thought, nah, that's not a path for me. But anyway, I did major in cryptography. Then I worked in a small startup as a full-stack developer for a few years before joining a big evil corp called McKinsey and Company, which is a very large American consultancy firm, doing a lot of Excel sheets, a lot of slides, a lot for insurance companies. So also learned a lot from that experience, but kind of felt that this idea of actually having a product, having your hand on the, in Danish we would say, kogeplade. I don't know what you would say in English, but it's like you can feel the burning under your ass, I guess it's the correct word. And I really miss this idea of that when you are a software developer, you're actually very creative. You constantly work on taking a big problem and breaking it down into smaller parts, figuring out what's the best solution, should we go this way or this way. And I know there are software developers who just live and breathe for these 2 milliseconds that you can optimize on an algorithm. I'm more on the other side where I think what's exciting is getting products out there, getting feedback from the users, trying to understand how to make this product actually much better for the people who are using it. So that sort of projected me into the hospitality business. So I ended up as a CTO for a large Danish restaurant chain, which has 33 restaurants in Copenhagen. They had a burger place, a pizza place, and a curry place. So sort of this comfort food umbrella. But I think when you enter into this space, tech is not a core part of the business. So there was a lot to do. Data platform, just figuring out, but it was sort of rented out in the city. We'll come back to that. But it was so exciting to actually work with a product that everybody understood. Everybody can understand burgers, but also taking that into a digital experience. How can we make this restaurant experience better digitally? So that was sort of my mandate there. Yes, besides all this work-related stuff, I'm a DJ. Maybe next time I can come and play a little bit. No. I have 3 kids. I'm an avid football fan, and today Denmark is playing for the World Cup playoffs. So if I'm a little bit distracted, it's because at 9 we're meeting Northern Macedonia for a playoff match. We should have qualified a long time ago. It's just annoying, but yeah, because Scotland beat us. Yeah. Thanks, Alan. Thanks. Okay. So I think everybody, and I hope everybody here recognizes this idea of how it is today to use a digital product, being an app, being a website, so on. I call it sort of this Shopify trap. You go to a web shop. What's the first thing that happens within 3 seconds? You get a pop-up that says, sign up for the newsletter, you get 10% off. Everybody recognizes that. You put in your products in the cart, you go there, and then it's like, others have also bought, or only 3 in stock left. Or whenever you leave the cart, you go to another website, there's another email next day, did you forget? Do you recognize? Yes. Yes. It's, in my opinion, extremely dull. At some point, someone found out newsletters, they convert. We need a newsletter. And then, oh, if we give them 10% off, it's a great hook. And we can really get them excited about it. And that may be true. It may be true that it converts, but doing this same playbook over and over and over again just makes the experience much less exciting. And I think, especially for the newsletter, I just stopped signing up because I know it will happen, and I just go to incognito mode and give a fake email address and get 10% off my order. So like, there are choices that maybe were right at some point, but now I think it's time to sort of challenge, could we do something else? Or just not copying what other people are doing. So I call it this the Shopify trap. Great. And why do I think it's a trap? So if we're talking about innovation, building products and so on, if you actually just copy what other people are doing, you're also copying the answers to their questions. So when they were sitting there building, for me, what was relevant was Volt, this marketplace where you food ordering app. They had made some assumptions. They had asked some questions. What do we want our users to look at? What do we want our users to take away? If I were just copying what they were doing, I would answer their questions in the same way, instead of asking my own questions about my own users. What do they actually want? So imagine I'm not building Volt. I am building for my restaurants. What is the experience in there? Who are my users on that, in that setting? So the problem with just copying and doing the same is that it may work, but we will never get to a point where we're actually trying out new stuff as well. And I think that's sort of the point of just, there is something, right? There is the 80% that just needs to work. You want to go to a website, you want to be able to buy stuff, you want to check out, and you want to get your package. So I'm not talking about the 80%. I'm not Emma, the IT security major who wants you to do a real authentication flow. That's fine, we can copy there. We just need something that works. What I'm talking about is this last 20%. When I was working at McKinsey, we had this 80-20 rule, and it's a very broad rule. But essentially, whenever we were doing a digital transformation, we would have a playbook, and it would sort of roughly cover 80% of the problem that we were trying to solve. But the last 20 was just some guy who has written a mainframe code somewhere, like very specific to just that problem. So we always needed to tweak a little bit. And this talk is for the 20%. So it's not like, let's flip the table entirely, but it's more of just, what are our 20%? In everything we do. It can be a digital project, it could be something else, but there are always 20% that sort of move the needle, where we don't need to copy what other people are doing. Great. So bus. I really need some water. Is it okay if I just... Thank you. It would also be rude if people were like, no, don't take water. Okay. So just a brief context here. So I told you it was Bus Copenhagen. They had 3 different concepts, a total of 33 restaurants. They had a really successful ordering app. Thank you, Sonis, you're so kind. Great. And they actually have a very successful app. So I don't know if 150 users says a lot to you, but it was the second most downloaded app in the Copenhagen area. Super successful, super boring. It was this white label solution that every other restaurant chain was using because Jagger was using it, so we need to use it. So you would open it up and it would just be just another ordering app. No experience, no sense of branding, where you are, what company you want to, nothing inspiring about it. So I was like, I think we can do something cool here. We have cool restaurants. We have architects who have been doing the design. We're copying it everywhere. There is something here that let's make an experience online that sort of matches how it is to go into a restaurant. And I think the image here is a fun example. So you will have to sort of choose which concepts you want to buy from. And instead of it just being a drop-down or another image and so on, we actually made the actual physical signs that are outside the restaurant, and you could sort of swipe between them, right? So it's trying to take these physical elements into sort of the digital experience as well. And I think, and this is very privileged, right? Because that's not always the case. But the project was not about saving money. It was not about increasing average basket size. Of course, with a little modifications because the app sort of needed to be a commercial viable app as well. But most of all, it was about creating an experience that mapped to what was in the restaurants. And I think actually, I believe very much in a memorable product is also one that converts. So if you have an experience where you feel like that was a great experience, you will come back. And the same goes for digital products. So imagine you always, I think a good example is you always take the same road home, but that one time where something stood out, that one time where it was maybe a dog running across the street or a new shop or something else, that stood out to you. And you will forever remember that, aha, that was different. And that's the exact same experience that we should sort of try to recreate. So one example is whenever a customer had fulfilled their flow, we would sort of spend 3 seconds, and that is actually a lot, but 3 seconds on just printing out a receipt of the order. Not just sending it in an email 2 days later, very transactional, but really trying to create this receipt that you would also get in the restaurant. And it would print super slowly. You would be able to sit there, but we were like, this is fun. It's fun to watch. It's memorable, right? And you will have to send that if a product is fun to use, it's memorable. If it's memorable, it's sticky. You want to see that receipt again, and I want you to see that receipt again. So try to think about what is conversion actually. Is there something here where we can say it's a longer game? You want them to use it the first time, the second time. We could have replaced this with the usual did you forget screen, or sign up to our loyalty program, or create a user, get 10% off your next day, something. But it's so freaking boring. We didn't want to do that. Another example is, and we had a UX designer on the project as well, not from Agilo, but from Copenhagen, so I can tell this story. And we were running user experience session, workshops, having people come in, and she would always focus on, yes, but how do we get them to convert? How do we get them to buy the stuff? And she was so frustrated with my constant but I want to create something fun. And a good example of this is that we had so many great stories to tell. The beef was organic, the chicken was organic, the buns were homemade from our own bakery, all these really important selling points, unique selling points of this product, so that should also be sort of part of this app. We shouldn't just watch this app be another platform, but it should be a channel for us. Just as we had the newsletter, just as we have videos in the restaurant telling the same story, it's just not a platform, it's a channel. So even though my UX designer was like, no, you're not doing it, we actually took this news section here and put it right in not at the top, but the second top in the front page. And imagine you want to go in and you just want to order your fried chicken. Yes, it can be annoying that there is news you have to see and maybe you can click on it and it's a video that will take over the whole screen. But I want you to know that we have organic buns and organic beef and everything. I want these to be your unique selling points. And of course, for those who I know what I want, they can skip it. But this is not a platform, it's a channel. And I wanted to incorporate that in the app as well. Okay, so far no questions, everybody's just nodding. Yeah?
Did you consult customers about these new concepts?
Yes, and exactly a good point because...
How many of them? Because probably 1 of 10 would be very annoying waiting for receipt.
Yes, they would be.
You are avoiding such customers.
Yes, because I won 9 of them. So the one who didn't like it, the 9 won, right? So I think we did test it, but with everything that is new, people are also like, oh, I don't understand it, I don't like it. Do you remember when Apple did the new liquid glass? Everybody was like, what the did they do? But actually, I think today I'm like, it's cool. I want everything to be see-through. And I also told Anse, we need more liquid glass in the app.
So you were creating the application for yourself, not for customers?
You could say that, yeah. You could say that I was willing to take a bet on this is what I believe in. This is what I think is true innovation. This is what I want. And maybe it was good that I had other members of the team to sort of mingle that a little bit. But I think that is what innovation is, right? Yeah. There was another hand? No. Great. Okay. So what are like my 3 key takeaways and ideas, maybe just questions that you can sort of take away from this talk? I think instead of asking like, how do we get users to buy, or how do we like, think about what is the experience that you want someone to have. If I was very lucky, I had a physical sort of asset together with the digital experience, and I could sort of bridge those two. But if you only have the digital, I would say you even more have to answer this question: what is the experience? Is it the newsletter? Is it the only 3 left in stock? Is that the experience that you want them to have? Or could you do something radical? Something that makes the experience memorable? Something that will make them stop on their way home? And that's also about will this be remembered? I think it's just important to remember that stickiness also converts, but it's a longer game. It's a long-term strategy of finding out how can we make the lifetime value of customers increase. And I think for our case, the long lifetime value of the customers was that they knew exactly why they would buy our burgers and not the one who was in the New York Times and everybody knows what I will not say their name. Great. And then again, we're not talking about 100% flip the table, do everything differently. We're only talking about those 20% when we sort of play around. Okay? And I think actually to your point about the innovation, where's the part, this is my favorite quote. It's from Henry Ford, and he has this saying where he says, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. And he built a car. So maybe there is something there where the users not always, they need to be helped a little bit. And I think that is where innovation lays. It's in the 20% where you help your users or your customers sort of do the right thing, have the great experience. That is actually it. I don't have any more slides. Great. Thank you. So now, questions, yes?
Have you done any A/B testing when it comes to your customers and the specifics which you've changed?
No, we actually did not. So what we did was that we took the flows that we have sort of designed, and then we did a dummy test where it was just like, click here, do that. What we found was that there was something in the wording, for instance, the headlines, the way we presented things. I had this idea of, I have 3 kids, right? So every time I'm alone with them, I'm like, it needs to be 1 click to sort of order, because that's the time I have. But people would not recognize this favorite. What is it? My favorite what? My favorite item? My favorite meal? Sort of. So we had sort of engagement where it was clear they don't understand this flow, right? In the other end, when you have then made your order, we of course wanted to know, was it a good experience? Can you rate it? Like 5 stars, 4 stars, 1 star. And people were like, what am I rating here? Am I rating the food? Am I rating? So I think in those small edges, it makes sense to sort of test it with the users. And we did that. And we also altered some stuff, right? Yeah. Other questions? Yeah?
How do people use, how many percent goes for the videos and how many goes for the bookings?
We actually don't know. And that's the sad part of the story, because the app is not out yet. Yeah. So let's see. Maybe I'll be back next year and be like, this is what you never should do. Yeah. Yeah?
Would you say that it's maybe easier to play like this when the user is already familiar with the app and the concept, and that they are maybe more willing to go through some of the new features, even though they're maybe annoying, rather than, when you first develop, let's say, this app and nobody knows about it, and you do something completely innovative?
It's a good question, but I think it's back to sort of the 80-20, right? Because I think even if this was an entirely new app and we wasn't just rebuilding a platform that existed, I think still there we would have 80% where we would be like, great, Volt, here we go, we take the features, now we're up and running. But then we will sort of play around with the last 20%. But I think that, yeah, that's the hard part, right? Where do you take the 80% and do you copy it? And will people think it's new but annoying? Or will they get used to it? Like, I think also when it go live, we will sort of like play around with it, right? We will figure out, okay, shit, this video was a bad idea. But I'm willing to take that chance because I think it's better to sort of make a what the fuck experience than just a click experience, if this stuff makes sense. Yeah?
When was the app published and how many users do you have?
So the old app has 150 users, but this app is still like in progress.
150 users.
Yeah, 1,000 users. Yeah, 150 users. Yeah. Great innovative app. Yeah.
When it comes to the previous application, when you first introduced it, have you noticed any sort of higher engagement with your brand?
Absolutely. So we did actually, on the side of this, we sort of revamped the entire visual look of the platform, engaged in sort of new product images and everything. And we saw that people actually understood that this was not just an alternative to McDonald's, it would actually be a premium product. So yeah.
What KPIs have you used?
For this, so that.
Generally speaking, when it comes to brand and the customer acquisition or retention.
So branding is so hard to put on KPIs, right? But we would do so, I think maybe it's now 15 months ago, we did a survey where we asked like, what are the top 10 stories that you know about us? And then we do this right now, but we haven't had the results yet. But like we will have to go and ask people, do you know this about us? But I have been very active on LinkedIn, sort of like, we have organic beef. And I just love how people are in the comments like, did you know, tagging each other, like, did you know they have their own bakery? How cool, blah, blah, blah. So you can sort of see it, but it's a long game. And it's so hard to make the KPIs. And that's also why getting management on board, not always easy, like, when are we gonna have more burgers sold? But it's a long term, yeah.
Do you think there's any industry where this doesn't work?
Aerospace. Don't do innovation in rockets. No. Just do like 1% different, maybe. Yeah. I understand your question. Like, of course, like when I thought about this talk, I was thinking about my own. But of course, there are industries where you should just do what other people are doing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Curious a little bit how you will eventually do with your bosses in quantifying the impact of this. Because let's say there is a 10% increase in sales or something. How are you able to then attribute that to, oh, that's because we got increased engagement from the app versus, I don't know, some other things that have changed versus another way there's more range from ordering to delivery. Like, how do you decouple all the different things in a very complicated situation? Maybe not even this physical situation, but like, let's say you're talking about McKinsey, other companies like this in career. Like,
Yeah.
what's the process of that?
Good question. Like, I'm very fond of always, before you launch, do a benchmark. Also benchmarking other apps. Like, we have the numbers for Volt. What's the conversion rate for our products on Volt? How does that app then compare to ours? That would be an approach I would take. I think also to get management on board, I was like, I'm pretty sure that if we have a better experience, we can sort of move some of these users who are using the Volt as their primary platform to ours. And that's a better deal, because I don't know how familiar you are with the business model of Volt, but they are terrible for restaurants, right? They take a huge cut. So just moving that, you could sort of make that assessment if that is a good idea, right?
Are you allowed to undercut the prices on Volt or not?
We are now. Yeah.
If you use our app, we'll give you 5% off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think also for the launch, it will be sort of like for the white label solution, we've had that for maybe 2.5, 3 years. But before that, we had a very crappy solution as well. But when we launched that, it was sort of like, download the app, get 20% off. I think that's boring. That's what everybody else is doing. Join our loyalty program, we will get 20% off. So maybe we'll do something crazy. I don't know, free burgers for 1 day. I don't know. But yeah, so we had a transition previously to sort of a new platform. And that grew immensely. So it's always hard to quantify like the actual impact. But there are numbers to look at. Yeah. Hmm? Yeah.
I mean, it's a buzzword today, but have you implemented any AI chatbots?
No. No, I think actually, like these things here, I think become more and more relevant due to AI. Like imagine you are AI, you build the next product based on what has already been built. You're not gonna get an AI to sort of innovate unless you really try to sort of prompt your way into it, right? But I think like these thoughts only human can do. So I think there are parts of development where it makes sense to use AI. Like, I'm totally on board on that, but design and innovation, those are hard clawed skills to write. Yeah. There was a question behind. Yeah.
So you said a lot about branding. I'm curious if you could increase the prices because you're offering a more premium experience.
Sorry, can you repeat?
If your branding resulted in higher prices,
If-
because it's a premium experience.
If we increase the prices, yeah, we did. Yeah, but that maybe that wasn't the best decision because at the same time, like if you do two things at once, which one worked? So you sort of have to do the other. So I will say yes, we did increase prices, but I think it was way too early for the branding to sort of caught up with it. We should have maybe done it now and not 9 months ago. But it's just hard for when you do stuff, only do one thing at a time because otherwise you don't know what worked. So to answer your question, yes, we increased prices, but I don't know if what was the cause and what was the effect.
And one question, what is the actual engagement trigger that is under your control that you can execute?
Engagement trigger.
Do you send push notifications? Do you send what is actually
Yeah.
making me today using the app, although I didn't plan it?
So we do send in-app messages, and we also send a newsletter every month. But I think it's not necessarily to get people to convert. We were very focused on getting these like branding stories out. So the push would not be only sale today, 2 for 1. It would be more like, did you actually know that we had like our own bakery? Or now we are doing merchandise, come buy it. That's also conversion, but you get the sense, yeah. And we actually saw like it wouldn't spike immediately, but maybe 5 days afterwards, we would see like a spike in it. So we also introduced like sort of a welcome flow for new users who signed up. Then we made like for 6 weeks, maybe once a week, they would get like a push notification, not with an offer, not with anything, but just like, this is us, this is our stories. And what we saw was that before the time for their first buy to the second buy was roughly 28 days. But after they entered this like welcome journey, it came down to 7 days. So it's super interesting to see like if you keep engaging them, even though don't give them an offer or anything, just keep reminding them of why you exist, they're more likely to sort of engage with the platform. Yeah. Yeah? Yeah, go. Yeah, okay.
No, actually, I'm in the same stage, but it's starting very early. So my question is, you have 30 plus restaurants. Do you offer any kind of events in the restaurants? Are they promoted yet?
No, we don't have any events in the restaurants.
No
No.
music, no.
We do have music, but it's not. We actually did have one DJ night. Yeah, yeah, we did have one DJ night. I don't remember much, but I think it was a good event. Yeah. Is that a hand? No. Ah, not me, not me. Okay, great. Tony. I gave him a note before of all the questions you.
I have an idea. Basically, you just got it from the higher source. I'm the medium. So you know those main videos where somebody takes, let's say, a picture of McDonald's burger day 1 and then day 1000 and it looks the same. You know those? It's online. Like basically they don't rotten. Like they always look the same. When you buy McDonald's.
Ah, yeah, it's not the same. Yeah, yeah.
So imagine you do a video like, Buzz Burger, day 1, day 2, it's rotten,
Yeah.
Compared to McDonald's, what would you rather eat,
Yeah, it actually looks like the stuff in the photo.
Or actually have your CEO
Yeah, that's just, yeah. Yeah, that's not pretty.
So
Yeah.
you think AI is going to kill creativity?
Oh my God. The thing is that the thing I say now will be on video, but in 2 weeks it will be a different world we're living in, and then I look stupid. No, as of now, when I've been playing around with it and stuff, I feel it's a tool. It's the software developer who thinks about the 2 milliseconds on the algorithm. It's not the software developer that thinks about the end user and stuff. You can use it for like brainstorming and stuff, but I think it's more over here. And it needs to move a little bit over here to be used for creativity, I think. I think. Today in March 2026, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think AI is ready to replace that like 80% of that sort of more cookie cutter, this is the playbook, not the
Okay, that where I'm like, yes, I think so, sort of, but I would never trust an AI would do like my payment flow. That is my money. I need sort of a human to verify I have done a Stripe integration. Yeah, yeah. No more questions?
You mentioned that your workflows have managed to shorten the time to first purchase. Do you have any other retention flows, for instance, I don't know, post-purchase, first time, second
Yeah.
time?
I think the goal was actually to get more people to buy the second time, but that didn't happen. But the ones who wanted to just did it faster. But we had to run it in terms of like A/B testing again, we had to run it for 6 weeks and then do another flow to sort of see could we tweak it a little bit. So it's a long, long experience. Yeah. 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 Cool. Go. So if I understood correctly, you're asking how we got to sort of invest in this app and why? Yeah. So I entered the company in April last year, and it wasn't supposed that we were sort of build a new app, but we wanted to do like more of the loyalty part. But we also paid these white label solution guys a ton of money for that solution. So I think I would sort of do my McKinsey thing and then take that pour of money and say, like, I think we can build something here. It costs the same as opening another restaurant, but this restaurant brings in 1/3 of the revenue. So it's much better to invest in this sort of restaurant than building someone in, you're not familiar, but Rødovre, perhaps. So that was sort of the idea that I think actually we got a better product for the same price, not a money-saving exercise, not cheaper, but at the same price. And I think even if this would be a little bit more expensive, it would be totally willing. Also from a strategic standpoint, you have your own control of your most important channel. That is super important. Like we also own the restaurants, we own the staff in the restaurants. If you own that journey, you own the customer. And that was also the thinking here. We shouldn't be able to sort of go to a third-party app, always call them up whenever we needed stuff. We wanted that control because if you control your outlets, you control the experience.
What about the physical stores? Do you use this app there for the kiosks too? When people
Yeah, so that's another feature that I sort of wanted in this app. So you can sort of order from the app and then you can order it for eat-in. So that would also be like in the restaurant. And this app also, like we needed to integrate to the kitchen and stuff to print the receipts and make the order. But we don't use the app as sort of an active thing of going into the restaurant and then standing with the phone and order. Like it was more like people coming to the restaurant who knew they wanted to eat, so they would do the eat-in function. Or otherwise, I'm more happy that they put the phone away and actually speak with the staff when they order. Yeah. There's a, yeah.
you determined what are your churn points?
My
Churn points, why people are churning out?
churning, yeah. Actually, we are not sure because it's also a physical product, so it's hard to sort of tell, was it just a bad burger or a bad pizza? Yeah, nobody goes back to a place where they got food poisoning, so maybe that's actually number one churning point. And we don't have a lot of food poisoning. So we know that. And also from sending out newsletters, we know that people sign up with their work emails and then they get fired or they change work and it's like super annoying. Yeah. We also have a large base of the customers who are corporations who order for lunch, for instance, where they get the intern to use the app and then he orders 100 burgers. So, yeah, so it's hard to get like a grasp of concretely what shift. It's so annoying, the work email, yeah. What are they thinking? Yeah. Great. Okay. Did somebody pay these two guys? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm interested about the brands of the restaurants in the app.
Yeah.
How many different brands do you have and how do you make sure that their brand is actually represented in a premium way?
Yeah. So there were 3 brands, and they each actually have their own color. And that would also be present in the restaurants. So the Jagger was a bright yellow, and the Otto, the pizza, was a red, and then the last one was a clear blue. So we also, like what you see here is the pizza place. So this color here would be yellow if you were on the Jagger sort of part of the app, and it would be blue if you were in the Ritta part of the app, the curry part of the app. Yeah. So actually we worked very much with each individual concept to sort of give them visual cues that would appeal to the user so they would recognize once they were in the app as well. Yeah. And then, of course, if you're on the pizza side, every image will be of pizzas. Yeah. And beer. Yeah.
What's the time scale for companies like this to do sort of a rebrand or a reinvention? I know it's different, in different industries and different places, but like, are you every 3 years deciding we're going to change the colors in the app, or every 5, every 10? Like, what's the...
We're talking months, not years. Yeah, so I joined in April, and we're here now, and we did a whole new corporate visual identity. We're 3 months from launching the app, and so we have done the whole work in like 9 months.
So like now like pizza is red. Like
yeah.
When is pizza going to now be green? Like when does that change happen?
Oh,
red
shit.
for a long time?
Long time, yeah. It has always been yellow. It's always been red, and the company is like 10 years old now.
Okay, so that part of the visual identity
was there,
change,
yeah.
You're just making that more
Yes.
visible in your digital product.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually this is not about digital products, but what we also did was that, are you familiar with Joe and the Juice? Yes, the Danes are, but I'm asking the Slavics. Okay, but it's a very fancy Danish, large, global coffee shop. They play insanely loud music, and they are so rude when they serve you, but somehow this is what people want. Anyway, they have a very iconic sort of pink color on the mugs that you get, so whenever you walk around the street, you can actually see, great, she's drinking coffee from Joe and the Juice. And I wanted people to have the same pride of like having burgers and pizzas. So now when you go to Copenhagen, the bags that you sort of get the takeaways for Jagger, that will be bright yellow. Super, it's like neon yellow. You can even see it in the dark. So we were trying to sort of have these colors go everywhere. They should be part of the DNA of the brand. Yeah. Yeah. But remember, I'm a software developer. I don't know anything about marketing, but somehow, I don't know, for this company, CTO/CMO works. I don't know why. Yeah?
What is the coolest offline campaign that you have?
The coolest what?
Offline campaign.
Offline, okay. Somebody's been following on LinkedIn. Yeah, we also try to do like big outdoor campaigns where we also use these colors as well. We took over an entire metro station, and I think it would be so fun if you were standing like on the escalator, and on the back there would just be a big ass burger, like huge banner of just a burger. So we did sort of these bold stuff where we would keep it super clean, simple slogans. I think we call it like not junk, just food, to sort of like play around with the stuff that is not McDonald's, essentially, that is like real food. So yeah, we also like to sort of do these outdoor campaigns as well and try to also be bold in the app. I can't show you because it's not video, but and Ante will hate me for bringing this up, but I wanted these headlines to sort of roll. I was like, yes, let's have some movement in the app. And people who saw it was like, I'm getting seasick, but I was like, I don't care, it's cool. But there are ways of sort of also make a brand feel like something, feel bold, feel like, I had this word in my head that is brat, and I learned that Tony doesn't understand what it is, but it's sort of like being annoying but cool at the same time. I don't know how to sort of explain the word, but yeah. Obnoxious, I think, is the correct, yeah. And I also wanted that sort of in the app, that the app would also feel obnoxious, yeah. Great, okay.